Witness history in the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.
Morning. It's Friday, can you believe it? I couldn't believe it. I had to check. I said, Jane, what's today? I thought it was Thursday because we're trying to launch the boat on Monday. And anyway, we're just about there. And everyone's having a reasonable time out there, except for Kerry, of course. Kerry got an issue. We'll talk about it after the tracker. And the weather looks good. Everyone's progressing well. Tonga's on the horizon. All those sorts of cool things. So, we're all having fun in the mini globe race, which is, I still pinch myself every now and then and think about what's going on. You know, these little boats chuffing around, but there you go. All fun. So I'm going to get straight into the tracker. What else can I tell you about? There was something I was going to talk about, just to let people get here. The course, pretty straightforward. I think we went through it all yesterday. And, I'll talk about Kerry after. So I'm going to go straight into the tracker and just show you what's going on. And those that aren't prompt on time, jeepers, I'm only 12 minutes late, although this is the target time. We'll have to go back and have a look at the replay. So here we go. You're on the tracker now. I'm on the tracker. So there we are, split. We got Papiete over the side here. The boys up in the Marquesas are having fun. Haven't heard any news yet, but they're obviously going to stay there for at least a week or something. Enjoy themselves. And here's Tonga over the side. And it looks pretty clear that certainly Holiday Dan is chasing Renaud, and Renaud's obviously going to Niafu. We sent a message out yesterday. It was quite funny. We sent a message to everyone and said, hey, guys, just be aware. There's a dengue fever outbreak in Tonga. And immediately got one back from Renaud. Why are you going there if it's a major, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's not a major. I mean, it's of concern. There's dengue fever in Samoa. There's dengue fever in Fiji. And it's also in Tonga. So I just thought we'd better tell people what's going on. And you just got to stay away from mosquitoes. Having said that, I've got about 10 or 20 mosquito bites all over my arms and legs and stuff. It happens. I've had dengue fever. I got it in China many years ago, about 15 years ago or something. And it mainly affects, certainly in Tonga, it's affecting people young people from 10 to 19. That's where the main targets are. So, yeah, there is dengue fever. I'm not sure about malaria, not here, but I haven't checked in on malaria for Vanuatu and stuff, but I will do. Sometimes it's an issue, sometimes not, but we will have a look. Part of the fun for cruising through the Pacific, I suppose. Anyway, everyone's having fun. And when you look at this weather, this is quintessential, typical Pacific weather for this part of the world. The disturbance is gone. There probably won't be another one for at least another week. They usually come through because of the fact that the systems are generated. You know, the impact on the weather up here is generated by what's going on further down the coast, down at below 30 degrees south, where you've got that progression of high and low pressure systems coming through and squeezing the trade winds either up away from it, which you've got here. There's a big high down south. So it's pushed it up, and you've got this band of lighter winds here separating the two, because you've got wind direction here coming from the west, and you've got wind direction here coming from the east, and you don't usually get them together. When you do, as the tide of this zone gets here, the more dramatic can be the circumstances and situation. You know, lots of squalls and turbulent weather and local weather that's very hard to predict on the forecast. So, as we've always said, this graphic isn't perfect. It's not 100%. You know, usually it's about 70% accurate, except when you come into the trade winds. When you've got a defined area like this and it's the trades, you're pretty clear on that. You get the occasional squall. And these trades, funnily enough, you've probably heard a few of them talk about it. Kerry spoke about it, some others. I won't say it's boring. It's beautiful sailing, but it's just the wind's always blowing from that direction. Just how strong, you know, either sort of 25 to 28 to 30 knots or 10 to 15 knots, but it's pretty much all the way. And so that's why this is actually like a milk run. and it's very interesting because I see stories of boats leaving America, for instance, going across the paddock, all the way to Australia, and some of them haven't even put in the second reef. They practice occasionally to put in a reef, which sounds crazy, but it's true. They might get the first reef, and perhaps they've never gone past the first reef all the way across the Pacific because there is a saying, and it's true: if you really work the seasons and the actual sailing, you can actually. I should be back on here because while we're diversing the conversation here, while we're waiting for some people to come up. But if you plan your passage right, you can pretty much get all the way around the world without any major weather dramas. It's working the seasons, and you've got these sort of 2 to 3 month windows when you've got to be in certain places and keep moving. And if you do it the way we are with the mini globe race, you can get around the world quite effectively in about a year, right? That's like the milk run. If you break that and you slow down and you get out of sync, you really have to slow down by 6 months or more, 6 or 7 months, and progress into the next year. So you go to the tail ends, and somewhere you're going to have to sit out a cyclone season or monsoon season or something like that. And there's places you can go in the Pacific here. In fact, I saw a boat come down the other day here in Vuda, and it was very interesting because he had 10, 16, 20, he had nearly 50 containers, 20-litre containers on the boat on each side. So he had 10 or so containers of water. He had 10 of diesel, 6 of water, 4 of petrol, and it was more than that. Anyway, and then a whole pile of other ones around the back of the boat as well. And he came in and immediately packed the boat up and left. And I have no doubt that what they did, they cruised all last season. And then for the cyclone season, they would have gone north, because if you get above 15 degrees south latitude, or is it 10 degrees, you don't get any cyclones up there, because the cyclones form in that zone from 10 to 15 south, and then they sort of come down a bit and come through, come through Fiji and across the Tonga and so on. And same over in Australia. So if you get above that latitude, and sometimes your insurance policies do the same thing, they'll say when the cyclone, any named weather system, so as soon as it's declared a cyclone, it gets a name. As soon as it's named, you're not covered with insurance. So they say if you go north of 10 degrees south, and so that guy probably went north and up into the various islands up the top and sat out the cyclone season up there. So there's no cyclones, but boy, it gets hot. There's no wind, hence he's got to have lots of the diesel, to keep going, and so on. And now the cyclone season's over. They've come south down here to cool off, and he's packed up his boat and gone, because he's probably been away for 18 months or something. And often there's a lot of people like ourselves. In the past, we used to do 6-7 months in the Pacific and then 5 months back in the real world, and then come back, launch your boat again, do another six months in the wet season. But anyway, I digress. So that all started from weather. So I'm going to go back to the tracker now. We've got a few people there. And I go on the tracker. So we've got it here. And there's the fleet. I'll go through I was going to do the weather first, but I'll come back here. You should be looking at that pretty well. So Gary's still in Papeete, enjoying the atmosphere. Josh doing 4.6, 108 nautical miles, the magic 100. It really is the target. You can get that as long as you're sailing. Jasmine doing 4.9 and 117 mile day. That's pretty cool. Still trying to catch up to Ayrton. Took out 5 miles yesterday. Ayrton's doing 112 miles and doing 4.8. And he sent Jane a message this morning. He said he decided to go to Pangai. So if you listened to that yesterday, Jane and I had a debate on that. But he's going to go to Pangai, and I strongly believe the experience in Pangai is the typical Tongan experience. It's fantastic, and there's nothing wrong with Niafu and Vivau. It's a nice place, we spent a lot of time there, but it's different, and they want to make sure they got fully topped up batteries, anyone going to Niafu, because you turn around and you've sort of got to go head to wind, and it's a long way in and bits and pieces, but it's a nice spot. A lot of cruising boats up there. They just do a brief pit stop. That's where you sort of go and so on. But anyway, Ayrton's going there. Adam doing 4.9, 108 mile days. They're all obviously in these distances that they're showing. Jacob, 4.7, 112. They've got the same weather, and it's very pleasant. Metre and a half seas, temperature not too bad, wind all from the right direction. They should have a lot less squalls, if any, for the next few days. So enjoying the ride. Eric up there. Jacob's got his eye on Eric, wants to get past, but I don't know whether he will because he's going faster than Jacob at the moment. 117 mile day and 4.9 knots. So, and again, having a good time. In fact, I should. I'll read you Eric's updates again. He's the only one giving us regular daily updates on WhatsApp. So he and his manager Brenda are doing great jobs on that. So Eric's doing well. If you're watching this, Eric, you should give us a call. We can do a live interview. I know you got Starlink up there and enjoying the ride. Christian doing 5.2 and 96 mile day. Come down on the rum line. So he's probably going to Pangai. He's going to have a great time. Anyway, that's cool. Holiday Dan. No, sorry, Canadan. Canadan doing 5.6, 120 mile day. He's putting on the pressure, trying to keep up there. He probably sees boring down on Kerry, thinking, I got him. But Kerry's had some problems and didn't want the news out there for a while, but now it's going on a bit. So he's explained. If you remember, I mentioned right from the beginning, I said, something's up. But anyway, we don't usually talk about medical stuff until the entrant decides to start talking about it. So we can talk about that in a minute. So Kerry not going fast, 4.3. The Aries is doing all the work. He's down below on his luxurious mattress and fluffy feather down pillow, looking after his back right now. Part of that story was wrong, but I'll explain it all in a minute. So he's still underway. He is absolutely going to Pangai. It's an easier place to get into. So anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. So there's sad news for Kerry. He's off the pace totally, but he's trying to hang in there and stay in touch with the lead group. And conditions are good. So anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. Pila, 5.5 and 120 mile day. She's putting it on, pulling away from the others behind. 122 for Dan. Dan pulled away 2 miles off of Pila, which means they might be, if we're lucky, boring down on Renaud. But Renaud did 119 and Dan did 122, so he got another 3 miles. Wow, that's cool. So Renaud's up the front, but I would suggest, just to explain why Renaud's going so slow, that he's probably got less wind. It looks a bit softer at the front there. So I just thought I'd explain that to everyone, Renaud. so Renaud's doing well, hanging out there, going to Niafu for sure. And then he may go to one of the other spots because he did clarify what's going on. But you can spend a whole week in Vivau without getting bored. There's no problem there. But they're different geographic type terrain. It's more like the Marquises to a degree. No, not mountainous like that. It's hilly, but there's cliffs and rocks and so on. Not as many sandy beaches. Hapai Group is all sandy beaches and islands and stuff. So anyway, they're all making great progress. Everyone's reporting well except for Kerry. So let's look at the weather prognosis. I'll come down one more. Not so good. I might leave it there and just shift it back a bit. That'll do. For all those that are on their phones, we're going to hit that and go through for 2 days. So there we go. Boom, boom. It's still all holding. Everyone's got a good breeze. So there goes the first 24 hours. And it all looks good. More of the same. We'll be doing 100 to 120 mile days pretty much for everyone. And coming through to the second day, the breeze band has gone right down over Tonga. There was a bit of a light pot there, but that'll follow Renaud in, I think. So there's day 2. Let's just check the distances. We didn't see where Renaud was for an ETA yet. So we put him on the bow and drop him into Niafu. 250 miles, so 2 days from now. That's pretty good. He'll be in at daylight in 2 days' time. That's the weather for 2 days, and that's enough breeze to get in. But you'll see as he turns the corner, it'll be on the starboard, forward of the starboard beam when he tries to sail, if it's possible to sail up the entrance there. So we'll watch that. And Dan, while we're doing distances, is 2 days for Renaud, and Dan bow to bow is 150 miles behind, a bit over a day behind. They'll be enjoying beers together when that happens. Peeler from Holiday Dan is about 115 miles. That's not quite right. I should have put it on a bigger scale to measure, but 115 miles, so another day behind that. So 2 days after Renaud, Peeler is going to be there, and then Dan's another day behind, so it's 3 days. If he's going into the Arfu, looks like they're following, but Kerry's heading down south. So, and then let's just see if so we got Renaud there, and we'll just go back to Jasmine. We'll forget about Josh for the moment. He's a fair way back. So 600 miles. That's 5 days. So 5 days after Renaud, if he's still there and doesn't go with one of the other islands, Jasmine might turn up, but Jasmine may go to Pangai. I'm not sure. Who knows? We don't know what the backmarkers are. They'll make their own decisions. This is the beauty of voyaging under sail. You can go wherever you want. You've got 3 choices there now. Okay, so that's the weather for 2 days. Let's just keep it going for the 3rd day and see. There goes the 3rd day. We'll go to the 4th day so we're on the 3rd there, and then it's all pretty much solid trades all the way. It's going to pick up, so the tail enders are going to have a bit of a push there. There's a bit of breeze coming in. That's what you don't want for the Arfu. You'll be taking the windward all the way up the bloody thing. I do like Vavau. Don't worry, it's a great spot. They've got a great boatyard there, and the boys there have been really good to us. We've had boats there a lot. Anyway, it doesn't look like there's any weather anomalies for the next week. It's all trade winds, so that's good. Plenty of trades there for Josh at the tail end, and when Gary takes off, I think he's going to have a bit of breeze. All right, that's it for now on that one. I'll come back here, hit that one, hit this one. So Kerry, it looks like his satellite phone's down, so we've been getting messages from him on the YB3 rather than his sat phone, and he wasn't using the Starlink because he had to get out in the cockpit and put the Starlink up, and he's trying not to move as much as he can. The spasms are quite challenging. He does have the drugs on board. He knows what he's doing. I haven't asked him whether he's had a similar problem before or whether this is new. As you know, he's sleeping on the boards, not sleeping on a mattress. And I think it'd be a bit more comfortable if he had a mattress right now. But then again, maybe not, because it could be more movement. Who knows what? But the boat moving around was a challenge. And anyway, he's headed to Pangai. It's a very easy approach, and it's close enough. There is a small hospital there. We're talking to Sid as well, his manager, and we're going to try and see if someone else is there ahead of him to give him a hand, possibly for dropping the anchor and all that sort of stuff. It depends what happens. As Kerry said himself in the videos, if you've seen it, the spasms are intense at the very beginning, and usually 3 or 4 days later they settle down if you get a chance. And with these sorts of things, yes, there's things you can do, but there's certain things you don't do and can't do. You've just got to rest. Your body goes into these spasms to let you know you've got a back problem. Then there's inflammation, which tries to swell things up and hold it tight so that it doesn't move. But eventually, after the rest catches up, it can settle down, and hopefully that's exactly what happened. I've had some classics myself with the back. I've got I'm one of those lucky ones where the bottom 4 vertebrae of my sacrum, coming off my sacrum, are molded into one. It's about this long. Doesn't bend like a normal back. In the early days, I used to have big problems and so on. So hopefully it does do all the typical things for him, whatever it is that's caused it. It can be this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But there is a small hospital in Pangai, not very far from there. So we'll see how it goes. If someone gets in there early, then and anchors up, he might be able to sail up and they can jump on board and help him go. We will probably send a note to the customs and immigration as well, just to let them know what's going on, not for any medical reason other than the fact that there might be some funny things happening for a boat that's under quarantine that's supposed to be isolated until you anchor. And we don't want them to think there's any funny business. So Kerry specifically hasn't asked for any assistance. He's fine. It's just a pain in the back. I nearly said pain in the ass. And it'll be disappointing for him, but let's just see how it goes. So that's the plan. Everything's under control. He's got good comms. He was on Starlink this morning. Came up and spoke to his manager and bits and pieces and posted those videos. So that's another back problem. So we've had back problem, we've had broken ribs, we've had we've had another back sciatica with Thingo. So 3 back issues. I wouldn't necessarily. Oh well, what I was going to say, I wouldn't necessarily put it down to being on the little boat going, but at the same time, yes, the boats are very dynamic, and in the case of the ribs with Kerry, well, that happens. That can happen on any boat. In fact, every boat's the same. I don't know whether you can see my ding ding. I've been so good. I've been on the boat nearly 2 weeks, and I haven't hit my head, but I hit it this morning on the bloody top. I'm forever hitting my head. Things happen on boats. Anyway, and we're not even in the water. but yeah, it's a little boat moving around. Who was it? Adam had the rib problem. Dan had his sciatica problem, which, it happens. And now Kerry's this one. He hasn't particularly referred to any incident that took place. So it wasn't if he took a fall and that caused a problem. It's just something that's popped up. And as he said, he's not doing lots of his normal exercise to support his back. Maybe he's got who knows what. Anyway, that's the reality. We're not overly concerned. It's not a code orange or anything like that, but we're certainly watching the situation. And Sid's under control, his manager, and everything's happening as it should. So a couple of quick questions. G'day, if you've got one. G'day, Christine. John, you always remind me to say like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, get everyone to come and go onto the site on Facebook and YouTube. Helps us a lot. What's the purpose of the gate in Pangai if they don't have to go there? It just creates a finish line, So it's an open area, and if you're going to finish in Pangai, there's a big anchorage there, but it's anywhere. So the idea then is some of them want to go through into the harbour, okay? And so you've got a choice, but it's just a line. It's not a gate. It's a line, right? But once you cross that line, that's when you take your finish time. And then you can drop the pick anywhere there, right? Or you can go into the harbour. And we just decided to do that for a few reasons. And one of them is that, for instance, with... anyway, there's lots of different reasons. So in the case of... Vavau, you've got to go right up into the harbour where you finally drop the pick, and that's pretty easily defined as well. And then the same in Vavau, there's a little harbour there, so you've got to go right up to the entrance of the harbour and either go in the harbour or you can drop your anchor just outside the harbour. So, but it's not a compulsory gate; it's just a finish line for that section that you go through. Same as we did in Papeete. It's also, you wouldn't necessarily, it could be, there's lots of different things where that helps. If you're coming in at night and so on, that can make it a bit easier as well. So they're part of the course. G'day, Rachel. Jacob is also bound for Pangai as recommended by Ayrton. I love that. Okay, it's funny how it works, but I look at this as part of the amazing deal. Oh, is that a mosquito flying behind me there? Ooh. Part of the amazing at one aspect of the mini globe race is, so you're going to all these amazing places, and at the end of the day, they'll have a logbook and they'll have pictures and memories of all these different experiences all the way through. Okay, that's part of the course, and I'm very confident in saying the experience that anyone that goes to Pangai is going to have is, that is a mosquito. I'm seeing it on the camera. Is completely different than anything else they would have seen. And Pangai is a cool place, and it's also, they may get some more whales there because Hapai Group is an area where there are it's very popular for whales. They come up. There's a lot less boats, a lot less interference, and whales have a memory. And the whales going up into the Vavau, I think it's fair to say they get hammered. They get absolutely hammered, and I'm really surprised at the management of that aspect. They go from 29 boats to 30, 25 boats to 39 boats in 4 years or something, 4 or 5 years. That's a huge impact on the whales. And we've had a bit of a history with whales from Antarctica and blah, 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 and it's all a bit sad. It may impact the industry in Vavau. But in Hapai, it's there's a lot less boats and bigger space for the whales. They can't, if they want to swim with whales, they're going to have to go with a tour operator. But the season starts, I believe, on June the 1st. So the mothers will be turning up, and a lot of them they'll start calving soon. They'll start having baby whales, which is pretty cool. And they could there'll be operators. There's operators in Pangai, and if it's happening, if they want to go out and swim with whales, they could. But Jane says not. Jane was the reason she's going off. She's got a stakeholder in that. She was the first licensed Chinese whale swim guide in the universe ever. Because we had a Lagoon 450 up there, 4-cabin, 4 thing. We're going to set it up for whale swimming and stuff. And so Jane, who's also a charter boat skipper, you'll hear her scream out in a minute. She could skipper the boat. She had her license, engineering and navigation and all the rest of it. And she trained as she was the guide, because I couldn't go in. She had to go in and so on. So she's the first Chinese whale swim license guide in the whole universe many years ago. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, Pangai's cool. So I'm glad that Ayrton has told, where was it? Yeah, Ayrton has told Jacob to go to Pangai. Cool. He'll enjoy it. Yeah, praying for it. Kerry is okay. Yep, too true. So all the harbours have a finish line. No. Some of them do, some of them don't. The reason we did the line in Papeete is that it's also easy to cross the line there and at night time, because you've got the lead lights. Okay, so we vary it. There's a finish line here only in Fiji. That's the only finish line. The others are gates or lines that we say take your measure from there, and they do their clock start from that point, or they have to do the last anchorage before they're going ashore to clear customs and immigration. So that's part of the course. Okay, that's it. So thank you very much, everybody. If all goes well, we'll see you tomorrow. And thanks for following. Remember to like, share, all that sort of stuff. And we'll see where we go. Boom, boom. See you later.
In the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.